Hello guys, and welcome. It is ThatSrb2DUDE here today, bringing you the first episode of Dr. Dude in 2019. Now, I did 2 of these last year, and it was complete flop, mainly because I left submissions too late, and now in this year, I'm not going to do that anymore. Even though this particular submission right now is a month old, there are going to be a ton of Dr. Dude episodes coming out very frequently during this month. And our first submission of 2019 is going to be coming from a person called Cozmo. Now in this particular match it's a scrim, so it's Cozmo and his team versus another team. And what they're playing is Rainmaker on the Ruri. Now the start is pretty standard. In Rainmaker, the first thing you always want to do is make sure you get the Rainmaker pop, so this is exactly what Cozmo does. The reason for why you may do that is mainly to get map control, and it gives one of your players instant special. So it's extremely important on the majority of maps to get the Rainmaker pop first before the other team does. Now obviously they do that, and the first problem I'm seeing right here is once they get the Rainmaker pop, their entire team is still in the exact same place. And every single one of your team members are pretty much bunched up. Now what this allows is that the enemy team has an extremely easy time to pinpoint where all your other players are, which is basically all next to each other. Of course, in Splatoon 2, it's a good thing to play together as a team, but the better way of doing it is making sure that you are close enough to be able to help your teammate. So it doesn't mean that you need to stand next to them and hold their hand. It means that you can space out a little bit and still be able to help your teammate in like the next second or two. Due to this scenario, the enemy team take advantage by pushing in 2 ways and pinching all of you guys together, which enables them to have a full wipe on you guys. Especially when they got the first pick on the dually player, because they knew in that situation that it would just be easier to overwhelm you guys with manpower. So basically what I'm saying, once you pop the Rainmaker, space out, because there can be other things you can be doing, like actually going for special. From this point in the very start of the game, it seems that you are shooting the bridge and you don't exactly have a clear eye of where any of your opponents are coming from. In general, if you feel like you're not in a favorable position that works with your weapon, then it is best just to move out of it so you can get into another space. Like, I understand that, hey, the Brella Shield may be coming through and like the Tent Umbrella may have pushed with the Brella Shield at first, but the thing is, what that did is just covered up the ink on the bridge and distracted you from what was to come next. We also gotta mention the amount of specials the other team do build. They get a Bomb Rush and Stingray, and the thing is that you guys popped the Rainmaker first, and the reason why you guys didn't get special again is because you didn't space out. So I know I'm kind of being a little bit harsh on this, but I'm really trying to stress, space out. Because once you do, you have a lot more map control over the map. Don't space out too much, like I said. Just be at a distance where you can still feel like you can help your teammate. And of course, space out so you can get special. They're extremely important in this game to actually do well, because the majority of the time, your pushes are determined by the specials that you coordinate. Now moving on while you're respawning, as you can see from the other team, they're using a bunch of specials, they're coordinating, they got Bubbles out, they got Baller to lead the Rainmaker, and they get a few points from that. Now it seems like your team does a good job of actually defending it off and actually getting 3 picks, and then eventually the Tent Umbrella being the last one actually jumps out. So in that sense, that's a successful form of defense, and there's nothing really to comment on this. Another thing I want to point out that was good is that instead of picking up the Rainmaker from within your spawn, you actually let it reset, knowing that every one of the team members is coming back from their respawn. This allows the Rainmaker to respawn back into the middle of the map and makes it a lot easier to get another push going, as you can quickly pop the Rainmaker. Now it seems like at this point, once you do get your specials, you do coordinate them to actually get a push going, and 2 of your teammates actually get 2 kills on the enemy team, which also allows your junior player to actually push up with the Rainmaker. Basically all good stuff here, but the one thing I want to point out is your Stingray. Now my main problem with this Stingray right here is that it's within the middle of the map, and generally when you're closer towards your enemies, the Stingray is not as effective as it could be. Now I know that you're in a safe position to use Stingray and all, but I feel like if you moved back and moved to your plat, you would have a better Stingray overall. Generally because the Stingray will be much more mobile the further away it shoots, which can be extremely annoying for your enemy teammates, as they have to move much more frantically and faster to actually avoid the Stingray. Can be the difference from just getting some damage onto a person or actually getting a kill. Now at this point, I really like that you do push up with your teammates right here. Considering you are backline, of course, many would say you would always want your backline in the backlines. Funny enough, who would have thought that? But a backline weapon that can get aggressive and help their team aggressively, it was always good. But it's just the way that you almost did it. Now, you push up to the ramp here, and honestly, I think that's a great position for you to be in, considering where the enemy teammates were. The majority of them are actually going towards the left since the Rainmaker is in that position. So honestly, I feel like if you had held this position right here on the top of the ramp, where your blaster is trying to suppress somebody, then you could probably have gotten that kill and helped your blaster to stay alive there. But instead, you doubled back towards the Rainmaker and you abandoned him. Now, it could have been a thing where there's a call out where the majority of people were on the left and they were trying to pop the Rainmaker, so you came to help. But the thing is that if they had dropped onto the left, you would have still had the higher ground on them. So while your dually player is just holding the Rainmaker, you could have painted them above them while they're trying to shoot the Rainmaker. In a way, it would be like a pinch in their own spawn, which would just further annoy them and probably possibly get another full wipe. Now, another thing why I feel like you should have just stayed onto the ramp is just that it's a much better position. Because the way you do push where the Rainmaker is, there isn't really a great angle for you to actually take anybody out from there. Maybe it was a thing where you're taking the dually player to respawn back into consideration. But the thing is that you could see that in the position of where you're at the top of the ramp, knowing that two players are on the bottom left, if you see the dually coming towards you, you know that if he's coming out to spawn, that you have enough time to just run back. By this time, I believe the Rainmaker would still be contested by your dually player. Now, with that being said, of course, by pushing it to 25, there's a pretty comfortable push at the very start of the game. And of course, you decide to jump right back out, since the man advantage on the enemy team is much greater. Now, the thing I want to pick out right here is that you jump out knowing that you've pushed the Rainmaker super deep into the enemy spawn. You have a bunch of uninked turf on the left as you're coming out of spawn, and you're extremely close to getting Stingray right here. But instead, you swim all the way to the middle of the map to then challenge a player, but then get taken out while also getting Stingray at the same time. As a backline, when you're jumping out, first thing you want to do, get Stingray. Especially when it comes to Rainmaker, because if it's a thing where they're trying to counter push, while being in the backline, you have that Stingray to always have that opportunity to take out the Rainmaker whenever you can. In competitive play, when you get Stingray, it's basically like the Monopoly get out of jail free card, as long as you get the kill, which the majority of the time you should. What it does is that it completely annoys the enemy team and just slows them down even more. I say the best times to actually do this is when all the players on the team are alive and they're in front of you, or if it's like a very dire situation where it's like at the end of the game and you need to Stingray them before they try to do a counter push. In that type of situation, regardless of if any of your teammates are up, just do it so you can slow them down before they try to win the game. Same thing for your second life. You come out of spawn halfway to Stingray and you just don't charge it while you're being in your spawn. So just remember to focus it a lot more in general. Now at this point, you notice that two of your teammates do die, so you didn't decide to jump out back to spawn, since you do have Stingray at this time. Now, of course, you're using Stingray now, but the important thing I want to point out is the time the enemy team has to actually hold the Rainmaker. They only have 11 seconds. Now, of course, I was just saying how good Stingray is to use when they pick up the Rainmaker, but that's the thing. It's when they pick up the Rainmaker, not when they've held the Rainmaker for a certain amount of time, and they're still not even close to actually bringing it to your spawn or pushing it past your lead. Honestly, in a situation like this, and considering the amount of map control that you do have, at this point, it'd probably be safer to actually save the Stingray. You're kind of doing things the opposite way around. Now, I'm not gonna lie, it is a decent Stingray, and it does get some assistance as your teammates do then have that confidence to actually take out the enemies out. So in general, it's not the worst play, but the thing about this right now is that now you don't have any Stingray for your upcoming push or counter push. And this is a thing that could have possibly helped in the future. Now, this next situation when your guys are coming back in is just a little bit sloppy. I feel like the problem here is that one of your players actually died pretty early on, so it made a couple things awkward, and it became a thing where you didn't exactly know where to really look. And then the Stingray comes in and takes out one of your players, while their dually player comes around and bulls on you. The game pretty much stays stagnant at that point. You guys do come together while the enemy team pop the Rainmaker. Now, I feel like the problem here is that you guys aren't exactly painting too well. It seems more like you're going for the kills instead of actually giving you guys enough ground to actually fight on. Because as you can see, when you swim straight to the spawn plat, you're basically swimming through patches of purple ink. So I guess just a small tip is just to make sure that you do paint enough so you have better ground to fight on. Because once you're swimming through other people's ink, you're literally going through damage. So any sort of weapon that really benefits from main power-up / has damage for main power-up will only take less shots to actually take you out in general. Now the Stingray comes out. Now, I understand why you don't challenge it. It's mainly because you're low on health, which honestly is the smarter thing to do. And you do defend this well by also taking out another guy. Now, another thing I want to point out is that you guys aren't exactly coordinating the specials too well. Like, of course, you just taken out a guy, but I feel like right after at this point, as your junior player is very close to armor, you should have quickly coordinated armor and Stingray right now, as you already have this thing already. So it could have been a thing where you Stingray just to take the remaining few people out while you have armor for your slayers. This probably would have made it a lot easier for your slayers, as of course, while they have armor, as the Stingray's coming out, it's gonna make the enemy players move so much more frantically as they're trying to avoid the Stingray while they're also trying to avoid armored players. So as he did kill that dually, he then gets enough time and also gets a stealth jump, I believe, to actually come for a revenge kill on you right there. Honestly, I doubt that would have happened if you guys actually coordinated some specials together, which would allow your slayers to go towards people to then take them out. Because at that point, as they're swimming towards people, they would see the self jump coming in. So in general, that would not have been a problem. Now I'm going to comment again as you're coming out of spawn. Again, I'm going to point out, charge Stingray. You only have 25 seconds left of the game. So if they do have a freak push, you have the Stingray to defend that. You have a bunch of purple ink that you should have probably painted up. And you probably could have got Stingray in general at the same time of. Because it could have been a thing where your teammates completely failed the situation and you left that trail of ink going towards the Rainmaker pedestal. Had they had all died, the enemy team could have just taken advantage of that. They push you back or make you jump out and just take that trail to eventually then win the game. Very important that you paint your base and charge Stingray when you're in spawn in a winning advantage. Because basically when you're winning, you need to make sure that you defend and not let anybody, or especially the Rainmaker, get close to actually putting the Rainmakers down into the old pedestal. So again, I don't even think it was necessary for you to even push that, and as you can see, you had to jump out straight away, so you pretty much didn't exactly do anything in that last 10 seconds there. Now of course, by the very end of the game, you take out the Rainmaker, and it's just basically a battle to contest the Rainmaker to not allow the enemy team to even pick it up. So then of course, you do eventually win the game, which of course, a win is a win. But in general, those things that I did say will make you better as a player, and hopefully if your teammates are watching this as well, will also make you guys better. Now, of course, I know for the third time I was a little bit harsh, but honestly, to really get it to people's heads, I feel like I need to be. Of course, I'm not gonna like curse you guys out or anything like that. That's just not the person I am, but you know, I really want to make you guys get better. So just saying it bluntly and just being real on how you guys play is how I really feel that you guys will get better. It's basically being like my basketball coach who would nitpick on everything that we did to make sure that we made plays, you know? So anyways, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. There'll be more Dr. Dude episodes coming out very soon. And if you guys have any submissions that you want me to go over through, and of course make a Dr. Dude episode with, just come over to my public Discord. The link will be in the description below, and then send in your submission in my Dr. Dude submission video channel. Thank you very much, Cozmos, for submitting this video. Hope it helped you. And honestly, that's all I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please, if you did, please like, favorite, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If you have not already, follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're free and generous. Make sure to hit the bell notification button to let you guys know whenever I'm streaming and whenever I do upload a video. For all that being said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you guys in a future video.